All right. So thanks for coming, everyone. I know it's early, and for those of you that came from the West Coast, I apologize for making you get up so early. But it's all that jealousy for the good weather you have over there, so that we make you get up early. So this is the third annual Lyme Disease in the Era of Precision Medicine Conference. I think one thing is that this conference has been pretty successful. I think successful beyond what we expected, and that's why we have to apologize for you sitting really elbow to elbow with everyone. The numbers just keep going up substantially every year. I think, I don't know, Ben, if Alex has any connections, but we can start looking for Madison Square Garden, maybe for the next conference or something like that. So no, it's excellent, right? And I think it's a matter of we're getting it out online, and people are becoming more and more aware of the research that's happening in this field, and I think it's an excellent sign that we have an oversubscribed conference this year and almost twice the size in terms of attendance and number of days, et cetera. So let's get into it. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction, and then we're going to have Monica come up to Embers to give the first talk. So first, of course, we want to thank the Cohen Tick-Borne Disease Initiative for obviously funding all the research, and then really being the reason why we are all here together today, and why we're getting so much momentum around precision medicine in Lyme disease. So I'm going to talk really briefly in my intro on why precision medicine is a buzzword, but why do I think it's really important and relevant for Lyme disease? Why did we choose to call this precision medicine in the era of precision medicine for Lyme disease? And that's because I think there's something really unique about Lyme and disease and tick-borne disease and the opportunity in precision medicine. So this is actually the really ugly graphic from the New York Academy, it's the New York Academy, we're in the New York Academy of Sciences, National Academy, when they put out their first vision piece on precision medicine, that we would have these sort of knowledge networks with all different layers of information. We'd have molecular characterizations, electronic health records, environmental data, and we would integrate this in a knowledge network and have the opportunity to better understand disease, but also to redefine disease. And I actually think Donald Rumsfeld captured a lot of the elements of precision medicine quite well. So I always like to figure out a way to work Donald Rumsfeld quotes into science talks. But actually, I love this quote, which people kind of make fun of, but it's actually really good for describing precision medicine, in my opinion, right? So there are the known knowns, the things that we know, and this obviously applies to Lyme disease, right? There are the known unknowns, the things we don't know, or that we know, and the unknown unknowns, which are, of course, super interesting, the things we don't know, right? And that's actually, in my opinion, a great way to summarize Lyme and precision medicine and research and disease in general. So one of the promises of precision medicine, of course, was that we'd be able to redefine disease. So take an example. This is from, shamelessly one of our papers, but just to show an example of, this is a paper where we looked at subtyping of type 2 diabetes patients, all right? So, and even type 2 diabetes is this disease that we had, we've thought pretty well characterized, right? This is something we've known about for a long time. We have very standard evidence-based sort of ways to treat this disease. But what we showed in this particular paper is if you take a data-driven approach, even something like type 2 diabetes, which is a sort of common, we think well-understood disease, there's a lot of complexity. What we're showing you here is clusters of patients, and there's actually clinically meaningful subtypes of patients that can be found hidden in the patient population using a data-driven approach. And of course, one of the things that will enable precision medicine is all of the different aspects of molecular characterization to really understand the full complexity of disease, and also understand how the environment interacts with that full complexity of molecular networks that underlie human disease. Again, and this is sort of one of the assumptions of precision medicine, but again, Lyme is at least an excellent case for really understanding this complexity, because we know that it involves various aspects of genetics, of gene expression, the different tissues are affected, and we actually know a lot about at least the environmental perturbogen and some of the pathogens that are perturbing the system. So again, it's an excellent model for this approach to precision medicine. And what we're learning outside of Lyme, of course, is that by people taking sort of molecular-based approaches, precision medicine approaches, is that things like the gut microbiome are connected to neurology, and then there's people who are doing research in this area. This is one of my favorite recent papers in this area. It came out in Cell this year, where they talked about actually, it's well understood that ketogenic diet, a low-carb diet that generates ketone beta-hydroxybutyrate as part of the consequence of this can treat epilepsy in children. This has been known for a long time, but this paper actually showed that it's not just the beta-hydroxybutyrate having a direct effect on the neurology or the ketones, that in fact it's an effect on the microbiome, then affecting neurology, a microbiome effect, then affecting the risk of epileptic seizures, right? So we have this sort of precision medicine, in a way, discovery based on connecting the gut microbiome with the brain. And obviously in Lyme disease, we know that the microbiome plays a big role, not only in terms of the infection, but of course the treatments that we give for Lyme disease massively disrupt the microbiome, and sort of precision medicine-based studies are showing us the complex consequences of that. So, and this is another precision medicine study that I really like. To really show that, point of showing this is that everything, and from the precision medicine perspective, everything's on the table for reinterpretation or for resetting on what we thought we know and what we don't know. So this is a paper that came out in Cell in 2015. It's from an Israeli group, and what they did is they took 800 metabolically normal healthy people. They got, and this is also, by the way, a strong case for studying normal healthy people. They got microbiome data, blood test data, food questionnaires, anthropometrics, food diaries, et cetera. And what they were trying to look at in this paper was the trait of postprandial glucose response. Is how does your blood sugar spike after you eat some food? This is something we care about, obviously, if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic and we want to control our blood sugar spikes that could increase our risk of diabetes. But there's all kinds of cool figures in this paper, but one thing they show is that these figures are showing the ability of individual features to predict postprandial glucose response in this normal healthy population. Long story short is that carbohydrates of the meal and calories of the meal explain about 30% of the population variance in blood sugar response to food. Why is that amazing to me is because if you go talk to a dietitian in the hospital today and you say, hey, I'm worried about diabetes, I'm going to control my blood sugar, they'll say, watch your carbs and watch your calories. That explains less than 30% of the population variance, which means something like blood sugar response to food, we don't know what this paper tells us is we actually don't know anything about that in terms of the true dynamics, the true variability of the trait in the population. So even something like blood sugar response from the precision medicine lens is completely on the table for reinterpretation and to understand the full complexity of something as simple as blood sugar response. Precision medicine approaches, which are, in my interpretation, are sort of data-driven approaches, can also protect us from the streetlight effect. Are you aware of the analogy of the streetlight effect, perhaps? The cop asks the man why he's looking for his keys underneath the lamppost, and he says, well, that's where the light's shining, right? So so this is something that happens quite a bit in biomedical research, in my opinion, is the streetlight effect, as everybody sort of starts looking for their keys underneath the lamppost, because that's where the light's shining in terms of a predominating hypothesis. But data-driven approaches can sort of help us ameliorate or protect ourselves against the streetlight effect. Shamelessly, again, one of our own studies, where we at least demonstrated this in the area of Alzheimer's disease. We're part of a consortia that generated something very similar to what we're trying to generate as part of this consortia, a large sort of multi-omics data set that was open to a broad consortia of researchers. And we're able to take all this data and really take a data-driven or precision medicine approach, a new look at Alzheimer's disease. This is one of my favorite quotes that we got quoted on, is that we went looking for drugs and all we found were these stupid viruses, where we found viruses associated with Alzheimer's. What do I mean by that is that we took a data-driven approach and we actually set out looking for drug targets, but the data kept screaming back at us that, hey, there's something here about the immune system, there's something here about viruses. A little teaser, I think someone's going to talk about it. There's actually a very interesting connection between Lyme and some Lyme disease findings that someone will have here, and exactly what we found in this paper for Alzheimer's disease, which is why I chose to show it. And I think Lyme actually has this huge opportunity to leapfrog to the forefront of precision medicine. And what do I mean by that? So leapfrogging, a classic example of leapfrogging would be like countries that went directly from no phones to mobile phones. They sort of skipped the landline, right, because they just leapfrog ahead. It didn't make sense to build the landlines. I like the example of Alipay and WeChat. If you haven't been to China, you realize you might not realize that the Chinese, in my opinion, are quite far ahead of us in terms of mobile payment and how mobile payment is being used in everyday life. And why is that? Is because they didn't have the similar banking system that we had in the United States with the credit card system the way it was. I mean, we had a hard enough time transitioning to the chip reader, right? So we had this entrenched banking system, and it made it very hard for us. It's still making it hard for us in some ways to transition to fully mobile payments throughout our economy, but China didn't have that issue, so they leapfrogged right ahead to sort of a fully mobile payment system. So I think Lyme has that opportunity because basically there's so much we don't know, and it's really something that is, if you will, sort of a developing country of diseases compared to lots of other diseases in terms of the research and also how it's treated in the major health systems. So, the hope here, I think, with a precision medicine approach from Lyme is that it can, move from, something like this, which is today, maybe it's a war-torn, health, part of the health system, a little bit forgotten, to maybe, this is the Lyme clinic of the future, right? So, and really, because we don't have the baggage of so much established pathways, so many established ways of treating, so much knowledge about how we think the disease works, this is the opportunity with precision medicine, is to leap ahead. So with that, I'll make a quick note on how we're going to conduct things today. We're actually going to be taking questions through text message. So there's a little Q&A thing on your table, which tells you where to text the messages. We're actually going to sign you up for a bunch of spam after we get all your phone numbers. That's really the plan. So, no, I'm just teasing. We're not going to do that. So, so this is a way to help us sort of moderate the questions and sort of real time. I'll have a pad and a tablet to sort of go through the questions. So please, if possible, use this new technology. Anything else we need to talk about in terms of housekeeping for the conference? No? Okay. Well, I just want to thank you again for being here. I know some of you traveled. You're going to be putting up with close quarters here, but I think it's going to be really worth your time, and I'm really looking forward to the talks today. So thank you. And we're going to have Monica Embers up first, right, for our first talk of the day. All right, so where's Monica? All right, thanks.